Hey, everybody, welcome to it's not a lunch and learn, it's the Experts Unleashed. And I have brought to you another expert, Eric Lofholm. Welcome. How are you today?
Joe, I'm doing great. I'm excited to be here.
Good. There are some super fans who have made me aware that they really, really like you, and they couldn't wait for this to happen today. And folks, listen, we are bringing you these Experts Unleashed, and this isn't just about mailbox power. This is about us bringing you value. And Eric Lofholm is a sales expert. And when I say expert, I mean expert. He is hired by the best of the best to create systems, sales processes. And today, he's going to impart his knowledge upon us. And I think all of us, whether we're in sales or we're managing somebody in sales, we want to hear what Eric has to say. So, Eric, I'm going to turn it over to you and let you get cracking. And I'm going to just get out of your way. My lips do not need to be flapping anymore. Enjoy.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Joe. And it's great to be with all of you today. Joe's going to be my co-pilot today and helping me out with PowerPoint slide deck. And our topic today is the mindset of a sales champion. And in preparing today's message, it's possible that I'm going to share an idea with you that is going to create a breakthrough for you. And it could change your life. These are some of the finest ideas that I've learned in my journey. Next slide, please. It all started for me with this book that I picked up back in 1988 that began my personal development journey. Next slide. It's called You Could Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. And in the book, Louise Hay said, thoughts are things and things can be changed. Thoughts are things and things can be changed. And at that point in my life, I was 17, 18 years old. And that was a mind-blowing thought to me that you could change a thought. You mean I could go from believing I'm inconsistent, and that's a thought, and a thought's a thing, and a thing can be changed. I could go from believing I'm not good at sales, I'm not good at team building. A common one that could help you make a lot of money is learning how to be effective at prospecting. So you mean I could go from believing I'm not good at prospecting to I can become good at prospecting. And so that one thought was mind-blowing to me. Next slide, please. When I got started in my career, I was very successful with my very first job that I ever had. First job I ever had right out of high school. I made over $100,000. I didn't make over $100,000. Next slide. I made over 100,000 hamburgers. And this is a photo of me at my first job working at McDonald's. I was attending community college at the time. You're supposed to go to community college for 2 years. I went for 5 years and I never graduated. I was not exactly on the fast track to success at that point in my life. And I experienced a turning point. And I attended a seminar and I was so inspired by the speaker, I went to work for him. Next slide. So I quit my job at McDonald's. I dropped out of college and I went into sales. And this is a photo of me at my first sales job. It's very stylish back then, as you can tell. I had my purple pants and my matching plaid socks. And at this company, I was the bottom producer for an entire year. If any of you have ever struggled in sales before, or if you're struggling now, if you're struggling asking for the order, if you're struggling building a team, if you're struggling prospecting, if you're struggling with finding leads to reach out to, I want you to know that I understand, because that's exactly where I was at. And I was told, after being the bottom producer for an entire year and missing the quota 2 months in a row, I had one more month or I was going to be let go. Next slide. So I started looking for answers. And I met this gentleman. This is a photo of me with my first sales mentor, Dr. Donald Moyne. Dr. Moyne, I affectionately call the Obi-Wan Kenobi of sales training. And I had an Obi-Wan Kenobi, Luke Skywalker-like experience. If you remember, what's now called Star Wars 4. When I was 7 years old, it was just called Star Wars. And Obi-Wan mentored Luke Skywalker. And Luke Skywalker became the great Jedi Knight that he became. Well, I had a real life Obi-Wan Kenobi-like experience. And when I was being mentored by Dr. Moyne, I was able to hit my quota that next month. And then the month after that, I did 5 times quota and I became the top producer in the company. What I learned from that experience, if you're a note taker, you can jot this phrase in your notes. Selling is a learned skill. Selling is a learned skill. That means every one of you watching right now, you can get better. And that's a mindset of optimism. Next slide. I then went and had a 3-year run working for motivational superstar Tony Robbins. And I left Tony's organization in 1999, started my current company, Lofholm International. We're a global sales training organization, and our mission is to help people just like you make more sales. Next slide, please. I'm endorsed by some of the biggest names in the industry. These are, next slide, please. These are 4 endorsements from some names you may recognize: Brian Tracy, Jay Abraham, the legendary Tom Hopkins, and the great Les Brown. So these are people that endorse my work. Next slide, please. The thing that has made the biggest difference for me is changing how I think. So today we're talking about the mindset of a sales champion. Thoughts are things, and things can be changed. So I'm here to suggest if you change your thinking, this can increase your sales results. And so that's the deeper dive that we're going to jump into today. Next slide. I live in Rockland, California. This is my family. This is my second wife. So her 2 kids are closest to her, and my 2 kids are closest to me. I've got 3 teenagers and a 20-year-old. And the town we live in is called Rockland, California, which is just outside of Sacramento. Next slide, please. Be like Steph Curry and Tom Brady, continuous sales improvement. Next slide. So one of the things we can learn from 2 of the greatest athletes living today, Steph Curry and Tom Brady. Now, none of us here can shoot a ball like Steph Curry, no matter how much we try. And none of us can throw a pass like Tom Brady, no matter how much we try. But you can be Steph Curry and Tom Brady like in their mindset. One of the things that separates them, and they are regarded as the best in the world at what they do. Steph's regarded as the best shooter to ever live. Tom Brady's regarded by many as the top football player to ever play football. Well, they had a mindset to work on their skills. And you know what's great? We can all do that. When I started working with Dr. Moyne in the 1990s, and he trained me and I got really good at sales, I didn't stop there. I kept working on my skills. And you're doing this right now. You're here in this experts training, and you probably are regularly doing things like what you're doing right now. And when we do this, we keep getting better and better and better. Next slide, please. The pattern of a breakthrough. Next slide. The pattern of a breakthrough is we learn, and then we have a breakthrough. So what that means is today, one of 2 things is going to happen for you. You're going to learn, or you're going to learn and you're going to have a breakthrough. Now, we all want those breakthroughs, right? We all want that time when we get that one golden nugget that takes us to that next level. We just never know when it's coming. So the way to guarantee that those breakthroughs keep coming is you just keep showing up for class. And you're going to keep understanding a little bit better, a little bit deeper, a little more knowledge of a topic. You study the YouTube videos, the podcast. You come to classes like this. You learn from experts like myself. And you're going to continue to get better. Next slide. Go into your presentation expecting a yes. So when you're talking to somebody about mailbox power and you want them to get involved with the business or use the product, before you start that presentation, you're going to have a mindset about what's going to happen. And your mindset's going to be, well, they're probably not going to buy. Or, hey, whatever happens, happens. Or cross my fingers, I hope they buy. Or they're going to buy. So when Steph Curry goes into a basketball game, what do you think his expectation is? they're going to win. When Tom Brady goes to a football game, what is his expectation? They're going to win. So the end result is a future event that we don't know if they're going to buy or not. But what I'm suggesting is if you go in with the mindset that they're going to buy, if you go in with the expectation that they're going to buy, that will influence the result that happens. And so it's a very simple thing. It's easy to execute on. So every presentation you go in for the rest of your life, you just get your feet on the ground, you get yourself grounded, and you put yourself in a mindset, and then you expect to have a positive outcome. Next slide. Change what you eat, change your body. Next slide. So what you're going to see in this photo is one photo of me. I'm 15 pounds heavier than the other photo. So what changed? How did I produce that result? Well, I changed what I ate. I changed how frequently I ate. I changed how much I ate. I changed the foods that I ate. Change what you eat and you change your body. Next slide. So what that has to do with you creating new results in your mailbox power business, when you change your language, you change your reality. When you change your language, you change your reality. So if somebody comes onto a coaching call with me, a very common thing they'll say, I'll say, well, what's the biggest challenge you're facing right now? And they'll say, I am inconsistent. And that statement produces a certain result. And it's not a good one. So if we change the statement from I am inconsistent to something more empowering, like I am consistent, the statement I am consistent produces a different reality than I am inconsistent. So I want you to start really listening to what it is that you're saying to yourself. Next slide. Declaration versus affirmation. So I want you to really listen to what I'm going to share with you. I'm going to give you one of the most powerful shifts that you can make in your language that could change everything for you. Affirmation. You've all heard of affirmations before. Typically, it's a positive statement that you're going to make. I attract money. Things come to me effortlessly. Things along these lines, positive statements. I am building wealth. The difference between an affirmation and a declaration is a similar sentence, but it's a way of being. Next slide. So if I say, I am lean and fit, but I'm eating at McDonald's, I'm not being lean and fit. So you want to start tuning into what is it that you're saying, and then check in with yourself and say, am I being that? So for example, if I say, I am a loving husband as a declaration, the way to find out if that's true or not is you'd ask my wife, you're Eric's wife. What's it like being Eric's wife? He's saying he's a loving husband. Is he being a loving husband? So if you say, I am a master of action, are you being a master of action? If you say, I'm a prospecting master, are you being a prospecting master? If you say, I am consistent with my prospecting, are you being consistent with your prospecting? Now, here's what's interesting. On a coaching call, people will regularly say to me, I know I need to go to bed at 10, but I always stay up till 12. Now, I want you to notice that's a declaration. They're being, I know I'm supposed to go to bed at 10, but I go to bed at 12. So they're creating their reality to stay up until 12 o'clock. And they might go, I can't figure it out. I can't understand why I keep staying up until 12 o'clock. It's because you're declaring it as a declaration. You're being somebody who says you're going to go to bed at 10 and you go to bed at 12. So what would you do there? How would I coach you on that? I would have you say, I know I need to go to bed at 10 and I go to bed at 10. Now, if you change the sentence from I know I need to go to bed at 10 and I go to bed at 10 versus I know I need to go to bed at 10, but I stay up until 12, you will very predictably see a change in your behavior. Well, if you look at your results that you want in your business, chances are right now, if I said to you, you know, how would you create greater results in your mailbox power business? You would say, well, I'd take more sales action. I would do more prospecting. I'd deliver more presentations. So you would want to change in behavior. And the way we change the behaviors, it starts with language. Okay, next slide. My declaration that built an international training company. So I did something when I was 28. I'm 51 now. It was 1999. I had just finished a 3-year run as an employee of Tony Robbins. And I had a dream of the business that I wanted to build, the business that I have right now. I wanted to build an international training company. I didn't know what a declaration was, but I started doing it. So next slide. I began to declare, I am the Zig Ziglar of my generation. And why I chose that, one, Zig at the time was still alive, and Zig was the Michael Jordan of the sales training industry. And I looked at it and was like, okay, Zig's getting up there in age. Tom Hopkins, another legendary sales trainer, is getting up there in age. Jeff Gitomer's getting up there in age. I said, who from my generation is going to step into those shoes? And the answer I got was whoever puts the work in, whoever does the coaching sessions, the reps, whoever does the speaking engagements. So I started declaring, I am the Zig Ziglar of my generation, not as a comparison. I wasn't comparing myself to Zig or Tom Hopkins or any other trainer, as a declaration, as a way of being. In other words, it was for me to show up as that. What if I started showing up as the top sales trainer in the world? What if my actions started showing up as the top sales trainer in the world? And that's what I started doing. And this is how I built an international training company. So I want to make this real for you, and I want to see if I can change your life right now. So I'm talking to this client the other day. She happens to be a franchise consultant. That's somebody who's like a real estate agent, but they sell franchises. The industry doesn't matter. What I'm going to tell you that I did for Anna, this could work in your industry as well. You could absolutely use this in mailbox power or any other business that you're involved in. So I said, Anna, what would you like to improve that would move the needle? And she said, follow-up. I need to get better at follow-up. And I said, Anna, here's what I want you to do. I want you to become the top follow-up person for franchise consultants, not just in your company, but in the world. I want you to be the #1 follow-up person in the world for franchise consultants. And I said, I want you to look at it from a technology standpoint. What would the #1 follow-up person in the entire world in your industry, what technology would they use? What systems would they use? What mindset would they have? What actions would they take? How many follow-ups a day would they do? In other words, she had never even considered the thought of becoming the #1 person in the world in her industry in follow-up. But I was getting her to take on the mindset. So what if you said, I want to make 6 figures a year in my mailbox power business? And what if you took that on as a way of being? So if you were going to be a person that earned 6 figures a year in your business, what would that look like? And what if you showed up as that? What if you said, you know what? I want to build a 1,000 person organization in mailbox power. And he said, okay, what would that look like? What would the actions be? What would the mindset be? What would the strategy be? Now, me as a member of Mailbox Power myself, I have a goal to bring Mailbox Power 1,000 customers. So that's my own personal goal. So it's like, okay, how do I need to show up What's my mindset need to be? What do my actions need to be? What do my habits need to be? And what if I locked in my thinking on that? Or in Anna's case, Anna locks in her thinking on becoming the number one follow-up person in franchise consultants in the world. Not as a comparison. It's not about comparing Anna to Mary Smith, who's elite in franchise consulting. It's a way of being. And I hope I'm being clear with the way I'm teaching you this, because I started showing up as the top sales trainer in my generation. And all of a sudden I got asked to speak in Singapore, and I spoke over in Malaysia, and I got clients all over the world. And this happened. This door opened up. This software company hired me to train their team. And all these things started happening. And it started with the mindset. Now, I'm a former cook at McDonald's, college dropout, bottom producing salesperson. And somehow, some way, I started thinking like Steph Curry and Tom Brady. Because here's the deal. Anybody can think like that. Anybody can think like that. You can take on this mindset. And then I want to give you another insight. And it has to do this back to the whole concept of the mindset of a sales champion. And it's, where is your focus? Where is your focus? What a lot of people do is they go through the day and their focus is on distractions, and their focus is on mainstream media, and their focus is on drama that's happening, and their focus is on challenges that they're going through. And what I do in my mindset is I lock in during my work day, and a usual work day for me is 8 hours, and I lock in for 8 hours, and I go out and I produce. And if there's an issue with one of my teenagers, I'm going to do that before work. I'm going to do it after work. Now, if it's an absolute emergency, right, of course, I'm going to drop everything and I'm going to go take care of my teenagers. But 99 out of 100 times, the things that people are taking time off during the workday to address, they don't need to be addressed during the workday. So if you think about a day as 8 hours, 8 hours of sleep, 8 hours of eating and taking care of issues and exercising and doing this, and right, and then 8 hours of work. And some of you work more than 8 hours, and some of you work less. But the idea is work when you work. And I want you to check in with yourself. How's your focus been lately? Have you been locked in? Right? This is the mindset of a sales champion. Okay, let's go back to the slide deck and go to the next slide. Before we go any further, I just want to acknowledge all of you for being here, for investing this time in yourself. And I'm going to give you my next greatest breakthrough. And I'm like you, I'm always looking for ideas on how I can get better. And one of the things that I realized is earlier this year, I said, I need to get better at following through on my agreements with myself. So I want you to think about this concept of following through on your agreements with yourself, especially when it comes to your mailbox power business. Next slide. So let's say you make an agreement with yourself that you're going to plan your day in writing before the day starts. So this is my day plan for today, and I've written it down. And one of my agreements with myself is to plan my day in writing. And there's times when I was younger that I would say I'm going to plan my day in writing, and I wouldn't follow through. And so what I've done is I've gotten a lot better at following through on my agreements with myself. So let's say you create an agreement with yourself, like my agreement, and you say, I'm going to plan my day in writing before the day starts. You're going to type it up, or you're going to put it in an app, or you're going to handwrite it. Like I like to just get out the pen and I like to handwrite it. Now, why would that be a worthwhile agreement? Well, when you write things down, you're more likely to follow through and take action. So if you write down that you're going to the gym, it doesn't mean you're going to the gym, but it does mean you're more likely to do it. If you write down you're going to follow through on your food plan, if you have a food plan, it doesn't mean you're going to follow through. It means you're more likely to do it. So I like to look for things that are going to stack the odds in my favor. So when I write it down, it puts the odds in my favor. So you create this agreement with yourself. Okay, I'm going to be like you, Eric, and I'm going to write down my plan before the day starts. I'm going to type it up, or I'm going to handwrite it. That creates the possibility that you're not going to follow through. So then the question comes up, what do you do when you don't follow through on your agreement? So I'm going to give you a mindset right now that could create a breakthrough for you and it can get you a lot more business with your mailbox power business. Because if you could create agreements with yourself around how many hours you're going to spend on your business and how many reach outs you're going to do and how many presentations you're going to make and how many people you're going to enroll in the product or joining your team, when you make those agreements with yourself and you follow through, that can be huge for you. So step number one, it's all on the screen there. When you don't follow through, so let's say I didn't plan my day today. I showed you I did, but let's say I didn't. Okay. Step number one, no shame or guilt. And part of why no shame or guilt is because I am my number one cheerleader. Many people are their harshest critic. By the way, that's a declaration. That's a mindset. Many people are their harshest critic. I am my number one cheerleader. And part of why I am my number one cheerleader is I'm loving towards myself. I love myself. I'm loving towards myself. Why am I loving towards myself, and why does that matter? Because it gives me confidence. It gives me confidence to go after bigger opportunities. It gives me confidence to go out and do the prospecting. And what I'm telling you right now, a lot of people they've never heard this before, because they're showing up as their harshest critic, because that's how you were taught when you were age 5, 6, and 7. And we have this thought process when we were younger. So no shame or guilt. And then number two, let's say I didn't plan my day. So no shame or guilt. And then I'm just going to ask myself, is this agreement still important? So I'm going, Eric, I'm talking to myself. Eric, is planning my day and writing still important? It's like, yeah, it is still important. Okay. So since it's still important, tomorrow's a new day. Clean slate the next day, and I get to start over again. So what this does is it allows me to have the agreement. It gives me a path of, if I don't follow through, what to do. And it lets me get right back on track. So I want you to try this on with the mindset. I keep my agreements with myself as a declaration, which that means it's a way of being. I keep my agreements with myself. This is, if I could just give you one gift right now, if I could take one thing in my brain and I could transfer it over to you, it would be the mindset. I keep my agreements with myself. And then here's your blueprint. If you don't follow through, it's no shame or guilt. Just check in. Hey, is this agreement still important? If yes, tomorrow's a new day and you're going to start over again tomorrow. Now, if tomorrow comes and goes and I still don't plan my day, no shame or guilt. I apply the formula again. Is this agreement still important? Yes. Okay, tomorrow's a new day. Let's say I still don't do it. No shame or guilt. Is this agreement still important? Yes. Tomorrow's a new day. And then maybe the next day I do it. And I'm working on the skill set of keeping my agreements with myself, which is like turning you into Superman. Takes you from Clark Kent to Superman. Right? Huge. Okay, next slide, please. One of your greatest agreements you can make with yourself is prospecting touches daily. So my agreement with myself is 25 prospecting reach outs 5 days a week. So yours could be higher, yours could be the same, yours could be lower, yours could be every other day. It could be 3 days a week. Mine is 25 reach outs. Now, when I do a reach out, it's a phone call, it's a text, it's a direct message over social media, it's an email, and every once in a while, it's an in-person, like a walk-in, walk me into a business, not very often, but every once in a while. So this ensures the growth of my business, right? If you go, Eric, how did you actually build an international training company from scratch? I have over 70,000 records in my database right now. My database started with 0. So I literally built my business from scratch. How did I do it? My strategy, prospecting, outreach, which works perfectly when you're sending out postcards, or you're sending out the brownies or the mugs, or you're sending out the cards. Because what that does is when you send out those cards, these are perfect people that you can follow up with. Now, another form of this is you send the card out, for example, you do the marketing the way you're being trained, and then they call you. And let's say they get your voicemail. Well, when you reach back out to them, that would be a prospecting touch. So we don't have to do, I'm not talking about cold calls. I mean, it could be that, but just in general, prospecting touches. Next slide. So I'm going to see if I can change your life right now. I'm going to give you the mindset that I'm going to see if I can blow your mind. So imagine if you have a daily prospecting goal that you followed through on for 1 year. So with your mailbox powered business, let's say you pick your number. Maybe it's 5 a day, 5 days a week, or whatever it is. I mean, you pick, it's your goals, it's your dream, right? Just sit with us for a moment. Imagine if you did it for a whole year, right? When I think about my business, it's like, man, Eric, if you did your 5 days a week for a whole year, oh my, that's mind blowing. Okay, next slide. So I'm gonna lay out the blueprint for you guys. I call it the $1 million prospecting mindset. Now, I've been prospecting since December of 1992. And I'm not going to say I've done more prospecting touches than anybody in the world, but I'm on the list. I've been doing it a long, long time. And I could safely say I'm in the top 1% of prospectors in the world today. And I want to give you an insight that I learned after 10 years of prospecting. I figured something out that I'm going to teach you in the next 2 to 3 minutes. Okay, next slide. The number one reason that people don't do more prospecting is fear. They don't reach out because of fear of rejection. So the mindset, instead of thinking about it as fear, because if I prospect, I get the same rejection you get, right? No matter who's reaching out, there's quote unquote rejection. We're going to get no's. So I don't look at it as fear, and I'm going to show you how I flip the script. Next slide. Next slide. Okay. The first mindset is no's are no big deal. The rhythm of prospecting is no, 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 yes. No, 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 yes. No's are no big deal. No's are no big deal. That's your first mindset. Next slide. Now, this is the money mindset. When I prospect, I win. When I book the appointment, I double win. I win no matter what. So I go through my day. Let's say I do my 25 reach outs today. That means 25 times I won. And let's say I book 2 appointments. 2 times I double win. 25 times I win. 2 times I double win. I win no matter what. And I knew that before I even started my prospecting day. I knew up front, I'm winning today. Where other people, they're in their mind going, fear of rejection. Like they're looking at the person. Should I reach out to this person? Oh, they're probably not going to be interested. And they talk themselves out of it. Or they muster up the courage and they reach out to the person and the person says, not interested. And then it's like, it's like you're absorbing energy from them. Right? So while one person's prospecting, they're absorbing all this energy and they're like going through this like fear place. Should I prospect them? Should I not? While one person's doing that, I'm winning 25 times. I'm double winning twice. I don't have to look at a lead and go, well, what do I think? Oh, they're not going to be interested. Because I look at the lead and go, I'm going to reach out to them and I'm going to win. Or I'm going to double win. I win no matter what, because I am my number one cheerleader. I'm not my harshest critic. I'm giving you the mindset of a sales champion. I am my number one cheerleader in part because I love myself. Not as an arrogant statement, but being loving towards myself. Loving myself so I can be loving towards others, right? You can only give what's inside of you. I'm not my harshest critic. I am my number one cheerleader. When I prospect, I win. When I book the appointment, I double win. I win no matter what. So one of the greatest things that you can do is gamify your prospecting. So my game, I already told you, 25 reach outs, 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. That's my game. And if I don't follow through, no shame or guilt. I check in with myself. Is this agreement still important? If the answer is yes, tomorrow's a new day. Okay. That's a formula, guys. That is a formula that can change your life, because at the end of the day, here's what it really comes down to. It comes down to action. But what's going to determine the action? The mindset is going to determine the action. So while one person's like, should I call this person? Oh, they're probably not going to be interested. Okay, I muster up the courage. I reach out to them. They say no. They're constantly absorbing energy. I'm just acknowledging myself, and I'm winning because I am my number one cheerleader. Now, you take these things that I'm teaching you, that I've learned over the last how many years it's been almost 30 years now. You take these things and you apply the best golden nuggets you can, and you're going to get a little bit better. And you're either going to learn or you're going to learn and you're going to have a breakthrough. And some of you, today's your day to have a breakthrough. Today's your day to go to a whole new level of success. And one of the things that Joe and I have been talking about, this is my first time that Joe's brought me on to do some training for you guys. And so we've been talking about the possibility of me as needed. Anytime there's a need for more training, I'd love to, continue to come on and share my ideas and share my wisdom to support you and help you become the best version of yourself. Because as you become more successful and you take more action, more money's going to come in for you. You're going to help the company grow. Your business is going to grow. You're going to inspire others. Guys, I'm a former cook at McDonald's, college dropout, bottom producer, and I've had the opportunity to study some of the best in the world. Okay, next slide. I think I might have one or two more slides here. Okay, so I'm going to wrap with this final story I'm going to tell you guys about. That's NBA Hall of Famer Rick Barry, the underhand free throw guy. So I prospected Rick Barry, and I created this photo. The experience. That's my son, Rick Barry, and me. And I want to briefly tell you this story. So my son, he's in college now, but when he was in high school, he was like really into basketball. And I was teaching him all the stuff I knew about success, but we were applying it to basketball so he could become the best basketball player that he could be. And I believe in working with elite coaches because that's what I've done. And I thought, okay, how about he works with Rick Barry? So I had this idea in my mind. Now, Rick Barry didn't know me. And the fact that I own a sales training company, that doesn't mean anything to Rick Barry. Rick Barry could care less that I'm a sales trainer. I'm just another guy to Rick Barry. So it's not like I can call him up and be like, hey, Rick, I own my own sales training company. Like, he didn't care about that. So I had this idea that I was going to create. It was going to be a 30-minute one-on-one session between my son and Rick Barry. And I was prospecting him. Now, I didn't have his phone number. I didn't have anything. I had his name. So I go on Google and I'm looking up what data can I find on Rick Barry. And I find him on Facebook. So I send him a Facebook message, No, we're not friends on Facebook. He didn't know who I am. Send him this message. I'm thinking to myself, this is never going to work. It's Facebook. We're not friends. He's not going to see it, So anyway, I send the message. And what gave me the confidence to send it, because this is Rick Barry, right? What gave me the confidence was when I prospect, I win. So off went the message and I won. I had no fear. I didn't think it was going to work, but I had no fear and I got to win. And so anyway, a couple of days later, to my shockingly surprise, he messaged me back. Hey, Eric, I'm in Alaska on a fishing trip right now. I don't have good cell reception. Call me on Tuesday. Gives me the cell phone. Call him on Tuesday. He answers the phone. Hi, Rick, it's Eric Lofholm. He goes, who? I go, the guy from Facebook. Oh, yeah, Eric, what can I do for you? And I told him what I wanted. And he agreed to work with my son. I said, you live in the Bay Area, right? Now, I'm in Sacramento, which is a 2-hour drive to the Bay Area. And he used to play for the Warriors, and the Warriors are in the Bay Area. I just assumed he was in the Bay Area. He goes, no, I live in Colorado. So he agreed to do this with my son. Now he lives out of state. I'm like, no problem. We'll fly to Colorado. So long story short, we fly to Colorado. Here's the photo. Rick Barry spent 3 hours with my son. We went and had lunch with him at the Red Robin. And this was all created, yes, action, but what preceded the action was the mindset. The mindset was when I prospect, I win. And then when I book the appointment, I double win. I win no matter what. So this is a mindset that can let you prospect anybody. You can go after the biggest names out there, the most successful entrepreneurs, to introduce mailbox power, grow your team, however it is that you're doing it. So my hope is that the information I shared with you guys today, that you got at least one idea that can help you. And possibly this information create a breakthrough for you. Now, this is the first time that Joe's had me on. So if you did enjoy the training, I would love it if you just let Joe know that, because I'm sure he's going to be curious to know, his team, what the feedback is. And I'm hopeful that you did enjoy it and that you got value. My intention of being here was to serve you guys with some of my finest content on the subject of mindset. And Joe, with that, I want to turn it back over to you.
Well, thank you, my friend. I really, really appreciate you being here with me today. And I got to tell you, a former cook at McDonald's. Wow. And where you're today, I got to say, when I was younger, I was a petroleum transfer technician. Yeah, back when you used to have gas station attendants, right? The guys that wash the windshields and actually check the oil when they actually needed that in the cars. Holy smokes, right? But a couple of things, gosh, when you said when you work, you work. That's such a big deal. I think so many people get so clouded in, they go to work, but social media creeps in or something else creeps in and they're not really doing their prospect and they're not really getting the job done that they need to get done. And I loved your presentation about how to set those intentions and actions and just go get it done. Definitely love that. And when I prospect, I win. Do you have a shirt that says that I can buy or a book or something?
I need to get that. You know what? We need a ball cap with that on it. I think you can help me out with that.
I think I can, at least a coffee mug. I mean, come on, let's get something done here. But I just love the whole, this training. It was absolutely amazing. Clearly, we've got some fans over here that have been posting and following along with us. But I appreciate you adding value to the Mailbox Power community today, Eric. I very, very much appreciate it. And I hope to see you back soon. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. If you want to watch this after the fact, or you want to send somebody to take a peek at this, go to Mailbox Power. YouTube.com/Mailbox Power, and you'll get to see this for a long time to come. Again, thank you, Eric. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We appreciate you. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.